Always
Toyota really knows how to make their cars stand out when it comes to racing, especially participating in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. In my previous shorts and releasing the full video soon, I have discussed the accomplishments and development about the TS0110, how it can battle against the Peugeot 905. We gotta talk about how the TS0120, preferably called the GT1, how it started, the development, what it achieved in its career and beyond.
Pierre Hivert, Jean-Louis Ricci, Jean-Francois Yvon car being lapped.
The year is 1995, that the cars competing in the 24 Hours of Le Mans had shifted from Group C cars to GT cars. One Toyota Super GT LM car developed in line with the LM GT1 regulation was entered in the race. While mounting a modified 2.1-liter 3SGT engine used previously in Japan, there has been considered difficulties in finding a chassis setting to accommodate the power of the LMGT1 regulation. However, the Supra has been able to run in 7th position for a while in the race, and eventually finish in 14th place. The Supra was entered again in 1996, but its race ended with a crash just before 8 AM that morning. And in 1997, Toyota returned to Le Mans in 1998. A big change was made in the organization of the Toyota campaign for the 24 Hours of Le Mans that has been based in Japan. The working group Toyota Team Europe, which had long handled Toyota WRC activities, developed and also took over the race operations as well. The designer of the GT1, named André de Cordanza, the monocoque chassis is made of carbon fiber with an aluminum honeycomb structure. The TS020 mounted an R36 3.6-liter V8, powering in a Grad twin-turbo engine producing 600 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. And the torque is 475 foot-pounds of torque, also at 6,000 RPM. Originating from the Toyota Group C cars, the gearbox used is a Toyota Team Europe's 5-speed sequential design gearbox with a Satch quad-plate clutch. The suspension is designed with the independent double wishbone pushrod system. Brakes are carbon ventilating bracing brakes, AP Racing 6-spot calipers. The wheels are 18-inch Speedlife forged magnesium. Tires are Michelin Radical front 28-65-18 and 31-71-18 in the rear. The dimensions of the GT1, with a length of 4,840mm with 2,000mm, height 1,125mm, and the wheelbase is 2,850mm. The overhang for the front is 1,000mm and the rear is 990mm. The track is 1,600mm for the front and rear is 1,644mm. And the GT1 is one incredible lightweight in just 900 kilograms according to the regulations, and the tank is 90 liters. More technical details is that the GT1 had a hard-edged fender shape is open inside face of the wheel well. This detail helps reduce the cross-sectional frontal area as it creates a lift created by the inner fender shape. There was a drawback that it was close to the cooling intake and it goes up to the wheel well throwing debris. A squash engine intake is designed on top of the roof of the GT1. The sides of the GT1 was done by providing a clear path from the frontal diffuser for the airflow to exit the car efficiently and not obstructed. The under chassis is very flat to have a smooth airflow, and while not the first LMP and LMGTP to have a frontal diffuser, it is one of the most intricate and the most aggressive of its time. The car's design was striking, featuring a sleek, low profile that was optimized for high speeds on Le Mans Mulsanne Straight. The bodywork was an exercise in aerodynamic efficiency, reducing drag while maximizing downforce. Essentially, for the high-speed corners, it is one of the most intricate and the most aggressive at the time. The car's design was striking, featuring a sleek low profile that was optimized for high speeds on the Monza straight. The bodywork was an exercise in aerodynamic efficiency, reducing drag while maximizing downforce, essential for the high-speed cars and stability at 200 miles an hour. The cockpit was forward with the driver almost at the nose of the car, enhancing visibility and control. However, Toyota themselves have no intention of following the rulebook. Instead, they have to bend the rules by firstly is the storage space. In order to qualify for the GT class, it is required that the car has enough storage space that its size as a standard suitcase. This is a basis of measurement to ensure that the car can be produced for it to be road legal. Toyota managed to convince the ACO officials because that the volume of the fuel tank is greater than the standard size suitcase. It is considered to be an allowable storage space, and once this official inspection occurred, the fuel tank is empty. This was allowed to race. The qualifying GT1s were leading the race for a long time, including a period when two of the TS020s ran 1-2 in the lead. However, both cars had to drop out due to a transmission trouble and an accident, although the third TS020 driven by the Japanese trio, Okio Kotayama, Toshio Suzuki, and Keiichi Tsuchiya, managed to survive the finish in 9th place. The following year, 1999, brought a change in the technical regulations that changed the LMGT1 to the prototype LMGT-P. In line with this new regulation, 3 further advanced versions of the GT1 were built to participate in the 1999 race. 2 of these suffered accidents, but with the previous year, the car driven by the Japanese trio went on to run in a very respectable 2nd place in the second half of the race. 2 of these suffered accidents.
61 car of Friesinger Motorsport, but right behind that is the lead car in the GT3 class, and that is the Uwe Altzen, Patrick Heisman, Luca Riccatelli machine, and that is in just outside the top 20 at the moment, but that's remarkable for the GT3 machine. Behind them, Nee Amarin, John Hugenholtz and Tom Sieler in another of the Chrysler Vipers. Then Jean-Pierre Jarier, he's still going. He's in a Porsche 911 GT2, and they're running down in 25th position. Behind them, the Brainer family and their Chrysler Viper. They're running in 26th place. 27th, still being shown as 27th, was the Lola Judd that retired a while ago with a blown engine. And then in 29th place, after 6 hours of the race, it may have changed slightly now, was the James Weaver, Andy Wallace, Perry McCarthy Audi. That's followed by the Hubert Haupt, John Robinson, Hugh Price Porsche in 30th position. Then the Belmondo, Montero, Roston Viper, the Perrier, Ritchie and Nuri Porsche. And then on down the list, really we're getting into cars that have had difficulties and problems after that point, and we've seen plenty of those, that's for sure, amongst the front runners, let alone some of those further down. So that's a bit of a listing there. Sorry to...
But with the previous year, the car driven by the Japanese trio went on to run in a very respectable 2nd place in the second half of the race, in which is also recorded the race's fastest lap.
Go on down the list quite so much, but I know many of you have particular favourites and want to know how certain people are doing, so it was important, I think, to just see what's going on. Up front, still the BMW Toyota battle.
Yes, that's right. And for those of you who are watching while Ben was going through that list, why the...
But he's speaking frankly, he's speaking openly, and if you like, you put it another way, he's taking whatever criticism there is on the chin.
Well, that's good to hear. It's sad to lose Mercedes from this race before we even get anywhere near halfway through. But that's the way it's gone. Big drama here at Le Mans, the 1999 race, but it continues, and BMW are still out in front at the moment, with Toyota in 2nd place, the 2nd BMW in 3rd, and then Toyota in 4th as well. Thanks to Tony Delahunty. You'll hear a lot more from him if you're watching on British Eurosport later on tonight and into the early hours this morning, and we shall look forward to their action. And there's a big spin, there's a big accident coming down towards the chicane. One of the Toyotas, I think it's the number 1 car, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I think it was the number 1 car. It's lost it under braking. I think Martin Brundle is driving that car. It is the number 1 machine, and another dramatic incident, certainly not as dramatic as the one we saw earlier on for Mercedes, but a spin coming down to that first chicane, and
It
Marcus
appeared the car
Rundle.
just pulled straight over to the left. It sort of looked weird. I couldn't see the whole incident, but obviously they kept on looking underneath the car when it came in, and maybe there's some. I would assume that was obviously there was something going on as well.
Yes, well, Toyota seem to be having all that. Look, here we are once again. That car under
Yes.
braking.
It just pivoted left, should we say, straight into the barrier. And I imagine either some, a puncture on the rear, loose rear wheel, something's definitely amiss there. And obviously that corner, just when the brakes went on, or as he applied the brakes, the car just violently turned left.
The Toyota suffering tire problems throughout. Entering the final hour of the race, the number 3 Toyota GT1. It had an overall lead. Unfortunately, they had suffered a tire failure and were passed by the number 15 BMW Motorsport V12 LMR. This left it to finish the race in second, once again failing just short of victory. The TS0120 and the TS0110 both didn't get any wins during their racing career, but it had a huge following, especially in the loading screen. Gran Turismo is a racing franchise created by Philippine Digital, and this is my first interaction with the GT1. And that's great, especially in WTC 800 events, and the infamous snowboarding, in which I never get tired of. The GT1 had made a couple of appearances in video games such as Project Gotham Racing 4, Forza Motorsport 2, Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, Absoluto Racing, Forza Motorsport 2023, and on June 13 of this month, Toyota has unveiled their GR10 Hybrid with the iconic GT1 livery that will participate in 2025 World Endurance Championship.